there's a story about an American businessman who's standing on a pier in a small coastal Mexican village when a small fishing boat pulls into the pier. And inside the boat were several large yellowfin tuna. The American complimented the Mexican man on the quality of his fish and asked how long it took to catch them. The fisherman replied, "Only a little while." The American then asked him, "Well, why don't you stay out longer and catch more fish?" He answered, "I have enough to satisfy my family's immediate needs." The businessman then asked the quality of his fish.
What do you do with the rest of your
time?
time?
He said, "Oh, I'm very busy. He said, I sleep late. I fish a little. I play with my children. I take a siesta with my wife. And I stroll into the village each evening where I sip wine and play guitar with my amigos. I have a full and busy life, senor." The American scoffed at him. Said, "I'm a Harvard MBA, and I can help you. Let me tell you what you should do. You should spend more time fishing, and with the income buy a bigger boat. With the proceeds from the bigger boat, you could buy several boats. Eventually you'd own a whole fleet of fishing boats. And instead of selling your catch to a middleman, you could sell direct to the processor and eventually open your own cannery. Then you could control the product, the processing, the distribution, and of course you'd need to leave this small coastal village and move to Mexico City, and then maybe to LA and eventually to New York City where you could run your expanding enterprise." The fisherman was amazed. And he said, "But senor, how long will that take?" He said, "Oh, about 15 or 20 years. "But what then, senor?" "Ah, that's the best part. When the time is right, you'd announce an initial public offering, sell your company stock to the public, and become very rich. You could make millions." "Millions, senor? And then what?" "Ah, that's the best part. Then you'd retire. You could move to a small coastal fishing village where you could sleep late, fish a little, play with your kids, take a siesta with your wife, and stroll into the village in the evenings where you could sip wine and play your guitar with your amigos. Well, what do you think?" Well, the idea that you may not play enough leads us to our final reason, which is your life may suck because you forgot to enjoy the ride. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I'll be happy when the mortgage is paid off, I'll be happy when the last kid is out of college, I'll be happy when I retire, I'll be happy when I get that new SUV." On and on and on. Have you ever made a list like this? Well, it's all right to plan and dream. But don't think you have to hold off your enjoyment of life until you complete your list. Because you know what happens? You just keep adding things on to the end of the list. You never complete it. And you'll most likely die before you finish your list. And that's got to be okay. It's got to be okay because your life purpose is to enjoy the ride. I'm talking about being in the present moment. That's what we're supposed to be doing right now. In every moment. What are we doing right now? I'm up here giving a lesson, and you're out there trying to listen. And we both should be enjoying the moment. But be honest with yourself. Have you ever been listening to someone talk and been thinking, "I'm going to suffer through this now, and maybe I'll have fun later"? You could be thinking, "Maybe I'll get a personal message from Spirit at the end of the service." Or maybe I'll enjoy the hospitality afterwards, coffee, donuts, socializing. Life is supposed to be an adventure. But we often forget that we're supposed to enjoy the day-to-day process And we fall into the trap of thinking that we have to suffer through the now so that we'll be able to enjoy our future. The fallacy is, when we get to the future, it's just another now. A funny thing happened on the way to church. I went by, was going down Nursery Road, and I went by a Christian church, and they had a sign out there. Today's sermon, title of today's sermon, you saw that one, didn't you? The title of today's sermon was something like, Focus on the Future. Is that it? Something like that. And I thought, gosh, that's just the opposite of what I'm going to be saying. But, I mean, I'm not trying to put them down, because I have no idea how his sermon's going to evolve. But I just thought it was kind of funny, that kind of like a sign or something. Have any of you read any of the books by Carlos Castaneda? Yeah, several of you. I know you have, Lee. This is my son, Lee. Lee does this work as well. Now, he's not one of those guys that we were talking about a while ago that has to follow in his father's footsteps. Lee does exactly what he wants to do, and I don't have any control over that. By the way, Lee facilitates a study group that studies the works of Eckhart Tolle, which is teaching exactly what we're talking about here, learning how to live in the now. Well, getting back to Carlos Castaneda, remember we were talking about him. So, any of you who have read Castaneda, you may remember in the teachings of Don Juan, Carlos Castaneda wrote that his Indian mentor had taught him that there are two paths of life. The path with heart and the path without heart. He explained that if you choose the path with heart, when you come to its end, you'll bless your life. However, if you follow the path without heart, when you come to the end, you'll curse what you've done. And at every moment, all of us are choosing a path with or without heart. No one knows your path with heart better than you. How do you know? You know by how you feel. And when someone says, life sucks, they're not on the path with heart. So there, I've given you 8 ways in which your life could suck. Things to think about. You give away your power. You expect everything to suck. You're addicted to drama. You try to fix people. You're a control freak. You waste energy on things or people that suck. You don't play enough. And you forget to enjoy the ride. Now I've rambled on long enough, so I'm going to bring this to an end. I just want to make one final comment about the incident with my college professor, Dr. Beerbaum. His death was tragic and unexpected. Why he did not share his sadness with other people, we may never know. Perhaps because he was a recognized expert in psychology, he may have felt like he should be able to solve his own problems and he shouldn't be having to ask anybody else. Who knows? But I think that here in the Western world, we tend to take our life too seriously. Sometimes our life seems so complicated that we don't even know why we do a lot of what we do. Maybe we should take lessons from that Mexican fisherman. Mahatma Gandhi was once asked what he thought about Western civilization. He replied, "Western civilization? I think it would be a very good idea." Thank you for listening. Namaste.